3rd, 2021, 4 o'clock p.m. City Hall Council Chambers. I will hereby say that we have all members, so roll call is not necessary. I'd like to ask for somebody to volunteer in the leading of the Pledge of Allegiance. Tim?
I will.
All right, very well.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, I'm looking for any additions or revisions to the agenda. All right, hearing none, we'll charge on. The consent calendar. Notice to the public, all matters listed are considered routine by the board and will be enacted upon by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless good cause is shown prior to the time the board votes on the motion. We have two. We have the approval of the minutes and the approval of disbursements. I'd like to ask the board if they have any comments on the minutes or the disbursements. And if not, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Parks, a second by Mr. Rushmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, on to moving right along. Number 6, unfinished business. This is the review, request to review and approve the Buster Park gazebo design. Mr. Sandy, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this item has come up a few times recently. We have a budgeted item this year to replace the Buster Dog Park gazebo. Mr. Yeager was kind enough to provide the board with some renderings of what he thought this could look like. If any of these designs are approved tonight or the concept drawings, Mr. Yeager's also said that he would help our park maintenance staff with some detailed drawings to get materials coming and kind of give an idea of how this is to be constructed. So that's kind of where we're at, and I guess you see the two drawings that he had provided. One is a square kind of configuration with 2 built-in benches. The other is more of a gazebo type structure with 8 sides. So I guess we'll take any comments or feedback and any type of motion to approve one of these concepts.
All right. Yeah, please. I was going to say, I'll just give kind of a basic rundown here. It's a little awkward because I did the drawing, but I provided 2 basic sketches here. I think the mindset would be on both of these is this would be a slab on grade for concrete, and then the materials for both the benches, the uprights, and the componentry would all be kind of maintenance-free materials. The one drawing is a 14 by 12 rectangular shape with kind of a hip roof metal kind of concept up on top that'd be maintenance-free, long-lasting material there. And then the other one is more in keeping, kind of somewhat embracing what was there with that octagonal design, but again, maintenance-free materials, maintenance-free bench material built inside. These could be larger, smaller, just create a starting point for all of us to launch from. So yeah, with that, we'll turn it over. Any questions, comments, thoughts? At this point, we have no idea what it costs, but that would be the idea, is we'd create some drawings if we can get some direction tonight, or direction on different look or design also, and then we could get some drawings created and put some costs together with staff. So, and no ego attached to this work. I just want to give that disclaimer. So,
I mean, all your training, you drew nice trees.
feel free to modify, adjust. Yeah, absolutely. So, no, don't.
Just one question.
Yeah.
Quick question on the roof. Does that, with that double tier thing, does that fit in with what we have in any of the other parks?
No, not really, not necessarily. Nope. It's a kind of a common architectural technique with hip style roofs, but that easily we could go with this. We could eliminate that little deco hip and just do a single layer too. It saves some money too. Sure. So. Oh boy, Miss Kara, please.
Okay, for space, for seating, I know it's just a picture, but maybe the round looks like there's more seating. And I don't know what we have there now.
Well, there's
I've never sat in there.
at least 2 feet square, bigger. 14 by 14.
Okay, good point, yep. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what's there now, and if people see people sitting in there, if we need, like, how much space we need, I've never been to the dog park. I mean, I've driven past it and did the assessments, but I've never participated in the dog park.
Okay. Troy?
Sorry.
We
you're
good?
in charge.
Yep. Troy? Nope. Katie? Katie or Troy?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that the current dog park has a picnic table inside it. So, our standard picnic table. And
Oh, so-
I would say it's never like fully being used, so
Okay,
I don't think that would be a larger concern.
Good.
okay.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Mr. Rochmeyer, yeah.
Are you done, Karen?
Oh, sorry.
Yes, I'm done. Thank you.
Kid, stop fighting.
For now I am, yep.
Okay. First of all, the second, the round or octagonal, I think the lady's dress is too short, other than that. But obviously, the round has more, is more costly, I would assume, than the rectangular.
I would think so, yeah.
And then it would be interesting, is there, kind of thinking on what Kara's saying, would be making it square 14 by 14 would give a little bit more seating on that. And if we went with just a standard roof, I'm assuming that would save some costs as well. But I like both designs. I'm just trying to, it would be interesting to see what the cost difference would be between one and the other. It would make it easier to kind of make a decision on it. But so you said maintenance free, so is that the posts as well?
Yeah, what I'm thinking is we would construct it out of green treat on the inner core of the columns, and then we would wrap them with a Miratec or an LP or a PVC, some type of a maintenance-free product. Could be painted one time or come even pre-painted. We'll see where our design standard goes, but could be painted one time, be done. But the idea was maintenance-free.
Okay.
Mr. Sandy?
I was just, Troy brought this up earlier today with the cost of materials. We might not be able to get as much of what we're wanting this year, especially with, I think he said a 2x4 is running like $14 right now. So it's very expensive material costs. So I think anywhere we could try to limit our design, because that $7,000 budget will get eaten up pretty fast.
Another question.
Yes, please, Kara.
So Katie, you mentioned the picnic table. So do people like have picnics there? So do we need to be concerned? Do we have to have a picnic table at the dog park then?
Place to sit?
Just place to sit, okay.
I would say more common than not, the dogs are on top of the picnic table.
Okay, so,
I think they're limited to hot dogs.
okay, so we don't really need to have a picnic table at the dog park, that's, okay. Yeah,
Yes, please, Mr. Parks.
I was just gonna comment on the fact that, with the benches side by side, I think, never knowing what's gonna happen in the future, might be better to put them across from each other.
Perfect.
People would be forced to look at each other.
Oh, sure, right.
Yuck.
But you also could, depending on the cost, you could build just one and later build the other one. I don't know.
Oh, on the bench? Yeah, we could always come back in and add the benches too. Yeah, I think once we got costs back, we could kind of value engineer it a little bit and just see. But is the consensus that we're looking at 14 by 14, a single pitch roof, and the square shape, right?
Yeah. Would it also be beneficial to weigh the cost of a concrete slab versus 4 concrete anchors drilled in? You know what I'm saying?
Like sonotubes?
Yeah. Sonotubes.
And then just have a,
And then
like
just
a
have like
stone bottom?
like a stone
Yeah,
bottom?
that too. Yeah, for sure. That might be better. I can pretty much guarantee you that's gonna be less. I would 4 sonotubes with stone or an aggregate bottom base.
Just thinking, going off from what you're saying with the cost of materials, I mean, I think it still offers a nice setting and it's good though.
that looks really nice.
I think what I'll do is I'll whip up a new set of drawings based upon this info that's actually drafted, not preliminary, and then we'll give it one more look before we send it on to the guys. Is that all right? Perfect. Anything else on the gazebo? Anybody? All right. Hearing none, we don't need a motion on this, do we? Okay. All right, we will continue on to the discussion of, well, let's see here, where are we at here? Okay, here we are. Request to review youth banner sales budget allocation, please, Ms. Kaufman.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. This is a request, just getting some clarification and making sure we're all on the same page regarding banner sales. Banner sales for adult fields are used for specific projects at the adult fields. So if we sell a banner at Memorial Park, that money gets put into Park Dedication Fund and it's earmarked for Memorial Park. As we start receiving the banner agreements for youth fields, we just wanted to make sure you are on the same page that those banner costs or monies would be also handled similarly, put in the Park Dedication Fund, and then earmarked for the youth fields. So staff is recommending placing funds raised from youth banner sales into the Park Dedication Fund earmarked for youth fields.
Thank you, Katie. I think the discussion here, guys, if I may, kind of the genesis of this was that the banner sales would be used to somewhat offset the maintenance of these fields. And while that is in a certain sense playing out that way, I guess what's being said here is that the money effectively just all goes in the same pot unless we earmark it to a specific field. So the Park Dedication Fund would give us the ability to take those banner sales and earmark them to a specific park, not necessarily the maintenance, but to that specific park. Was that correct?
That is correct. That is correct. Yep.
Makes perfect sense, and I would make a motion to do such.
Right. Are we good on the motion, Kim?
It says.
Yeah,
do
just
so-
what it says.
Okay.
That's my motion.
Got it. Motion as presented. We have a motion by Mr. Rushmeyer.
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Boder. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Oh, sorry, Dave.
Can I just ask how it's going?
It's going very well. I was given a large list of names in the community to send letters to, and it's going very well. So we're getting a lot of good feedback.
Excellent. All right, moving on. Item number 7. This is our new business. This is a request to discuss the Gregory Park parking issues. I'm assuming this is you, Mr. Sandy.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I've gotten a couple of residents of North Brainerd talking about this, and it's reached a council member too, Mr. Bevins, who represents the north side there. Back a few years ago, there used to be, I don't know if you guys have been on the board long enough, where there was a chain across the driveway in Gregory Park to prevent people from driving in there. I don't have the actual date of when that was removed. But so there's no actual marked surface parking stalls within the park. However, we're getting some people driving in there and parking for long periods of time. We've gotten a few pictures over email of cars that are just randomly parked within the park by the tennis courts or something of that nature. Really, in staff's mind, this area or this driveway is strictly for maintenance purposes. It's going to get the trash, going to, blow off tennis courts, driving a maintenance vehicle in and leaving. There's no surface parking in the park. There's on-street parking all the way around the park for people to use. And so I don't think that, this area was necessarily dedicated for any type of surface parking. And so what we're kind of seeing is that we would like to reestablish some sort of gate across that driveway. The park maintenance foreman, Troy Harris, he has 2, you can see them attached in the packet. There's 2 white gates that they have from a previous use that we could utilize for this purpose. They're a little bit longer than what they need to be. We would cut them off to about 10 feet so that there's two gates, and they would just be closed and chained during if we don't need it, we just, chain it off or close it off so we don't have people parking in there. There is a small space that looks like it could be parking, but like I said, there's no marked spaces. Half of it's a sidewalk. But we have two cases where we have pictures of a car just parked right in the middle of the park. So really is all we're asking is basically that you allow us to place these gates that we have pictured here this summer. And there would just be two of them that would just be swing open with a chain across to keep people from parking in there and not having a parking issue, I guess, within the middle of Gregory Park. So.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Ms. Sandy. And then also just to point out real quickly that I think if you remember the original idea of no parking in there is because kids practice off of that the CMU wall that's there, as well as I see kids playing wall ball there against that wall all the time. So that's really the reason for the no cars there. Yeah, Mr. Boder, please.
Will that include ice skating as well? Everybody parks there for ice skating.
I would leave that up to you guys. We could open them up, but I mean, it would just, I don't know if we plow that through there. I'm assuming we do. I guess I don't know exactly, but I would say that we could open them up in the winter if you guys wanted us to. Like I said, it might become a little bit of a liability or issue with that small area to turn a car around. There's not a lot of room between the fences there. I don't know if it's been a problem in the past, but depending on how many cars actually go in there, it could become an issue. It's pretty small, so.
Mr. Rushmeyer.
Yeah, I get that. So I'm assuming it's probably somebody who knows somebody that lives on that street and decided they would rather park there than on the street or something. But I believe, is there a no parking sign on the fence of the tennis court?
Couple of them.
A couple of them, and I'm just asking this question. So if we put a gate there, I don't know if I like the looks of a gate going into our park or not, or if somebody is going to ride their bike up through there, or. But I'm not against it. But I'm just wondering, because you're going to have to put poles in the ground and concrete, and so there's some costs and some labor costs. Not much, I get that. Is it easier to put a sign at the drive warning that cars will be towed, and talking to law enforcement and enforcing that? Would that, is it worth trying that first, or just to see if, I think if a few cars get towed and somebody's got to pay a fee to get their car out of an impound lot, that they probably won't do that again. But I'm just bringing that up. Is that more cost efficient and maybe a better look for the entrance? Because I'm assuming in the winter, if we use it in the winter and we're going in there and plowing, somebody's got to stop, get out, open the gate each time that we drive in there as well. But like I said, I'm not against it. I'm just wondering, to throw out the idea, is it easier or better to try because I know there's signs on that should be enough, but maybe if there's one at the entrance that.
Well, you're right about the bike riders and people walking, let people go through there, make their little circle around Gregory Park and walk through the middle of it later on, so then now they have to walk around the gate.
Yeah, which the walker, that doesn't strike me as a huge deal. They can walk through the grass, but I'm just, how does it look with it?
We do have some maintenance that goes in and out of there, right? But
Yep.
not heavy. So I'd like to throw out the idea of just planting grass back across there, and then in effect encapsulating the little court for what it was intended for. But if grass was across there, I think our guys could maybe still get across there, because I do see our guys drive across the sidewalks on the grass from time to time as well. So I'm wondering if something like that would be enough to fix this situation as well.
Where do you want to put grass?
I was thinking right there. I was thinking basically grass in between from there out to the road. Now, you'd still leave the approach so that our guys could get across there, but I think the public would be much less likely to drive across the grass to get to that little lot. But that's a secondary option. I like what you're saying as well too.
That's a little more costly, though.
Well, compared to the post and the poles, which won't be free either. So, but yeah, I
Spare
agree.
tire
Yeah.
with concrete poured into it with a sign that says maintenance only right in the middle might work better.
No, I like all the ideas, to be honest. A sign is really cheap. A sign and a post, we could try that first, and if we continue to see these I'm sure it's the same offender or offenders that are doing it. It's someone that's probably parking there during the day, riding with a buddy to work or something, or something like that would be my guess, because they've been there all day generally. So we can get with our street guys and get a no parking sign put up there, maybe, and evaluate it this summer.
And
Talk
maybe with the
to,
warning, violators will be towed.
yep.
They better be towed then, right? Will they actually get towed if we write that on the sign?
Yeah, I mean, we can talk to
Enforcement,
Mike and
Right.
as soon as we get a
Call us,
complaint,
yeah.
we'll send the CSO over there and have them ticket and call our contract towing company. If we catch it in time, see, that's always the big thing, is enforcement becomes the issue after that.
Well, I think that neighborhood will probably be pretty good about enforcing. They seem to be very,
They're diligent.
you know, very, yeah.
The one car that I've seen seems to park there all day.
Yep.
My Dodge Dakota, sadly enough.
It's not that, but I have seen
You
that.
must be at a different time than I am.
Yes.
So I was gonna ask, it's not
Yes,
like a
please.
handicapped person. I just wanted to make, because there's like no spots for handicap. So it's someone who leaves their car there all day.
Based on what I've seen, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't speak to who the person is, but I know of at least one car that's there a lot, all day.
Okay.
Sign, are we good with the sign?
Mine is cool.
Am
yeah.
I hearing consensus on that? Do you need a motion on this?
Yeah, you might as well, just
All right.
so we get it in the record.
This will be our first wave of defense on the,
Yep.
on parking gate, on our, the parking conversation for Gregory, 2020. First line of defense, right here, here it comes.
So I'll make a motion to place a sign at the entrance, first, before moving forward with the gate.
All right, thank you. We have a motion by Mr. Rushmeyer,
I'll second it.
second by Ms. Schaefer. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Sign it is. All right, onward to number 8. This is our request to review the policy regarding facility locking after hours. Paul?
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, I think it was probably last year, this was brought forward to the park board regarding, leaving bathroom and shower facilities open after hours, after park closures. Our maintenance foreman, Troy, indicated that Gregory Park has kind of become an issue, for him, with kicking people out in the morning and staying in the, restroom facilities. And so we want the board to kind of review this and see if they would like to continue with this policy of leaving these open, or if, and that goes for all of our restroom facilities, Lum Park, Gregory, or if we would like to change our policy and start locking these again as we have in the past, as part of our daily routine. So that's really where this comes from. Troy said it was basically every day. Same person, we could, potentially get with the police department and see if there's something they can do, but it is a public facility, so I don't know how much we would be able to enforce from that regard. I know they work with homeless individuals to try to get them placed in areas, but we could certainly look at that, but we'd like the park board just to review this policy and see what we should do from the board's perspective. I don't know, maybe Katie knows, but how long it takes for us to go and lock up facilities after hours, but I'm assuming it's about an hour a day to go and lock all these facilities at the end of the night, so.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sandy. Yeah, if I'm remembering this dialogue correctly, last time, we found ourselves in a position where we either lock them way early or leave them permanently locked, or leave them mostly open. I'm not sure we had a mechanism of which to get them locked at a time. So thanks for bringing this forward here, and I'll turn it over to all of us for a discussion here.
I believe it was like a COVID deal at first, like about almost a little over a year ago that we got into it, so.
I think
Yeah,
that we
please.
should try to look at something where it locks automatically. And I know we talked about that last year too, and you don't know the cost of that, but just like looking at the whole thing. I mean, if, think about weekends, if someone rents a park, then you have to have someone go over there and unlock them, or we could just however you do it from afar, turn them on and for that event and then turn them back off, or if it's that easy, I don't know. But that way they all lock up at 10 PM, they open back up at 6, or whatever the time is. Again, I don't know how much it's gonna cost to do that, but considering we pay someone an hour a day, that's probably 2 hours a day, right? To open and close, or were you saying an hour?
Probably an hour round trip, I would say.
Okay.
You know, both morning and afternoon.
Well, Katie, your salary, aren't you? Free time.
It's something we could look at. I don't know, you know, Sean is here. We could, you know, the
the one-
locking, you're kind of the door locking guy.
Oh,
And a lot of, is there options available, like timed locking systems that you know of?
standalone ones, I think, power.
Yep. So there is maybe that option available.
The one thing I would say is that if you send somebody around, it gives them the opportunity to clear those bathrooms before they're locked. So automatic locking may not mitigate the whole, because if they learn they lock at 10, they just want to be in there before 9:55, you know, for the night. So, you know, that's another little wrinkle to that is somebody going around. What's one thing I do like about that is they look in there, they clear it, they, you know, make sure, and then it's locked up, and then process is repeated, but it's a manpower thing, so.
That's the one worry I had with automatic locks is you could potentially lock someone in there, whether they want to be or not, without any opportunity to maybe get out. So that's one thing that we have to take into consideration too.
Yeah, Sean.
I don't know if I can interrupt, but you'd have to have crash bars if you're gonna automatically lock them like that. Versus you can deadbolt them if you check, basically what you're saying. But if it's automatic, it would have to be a egress crash bar kind of thing.
So that would be a retrofit we'd have to do on all those doors.
But
Wonder if we should explore if we can get somebody to do them first.
When I was the president, I used to do it. When I was the president, I used to do it every night, so.
Well, there's 5 of us here, if we each take one day.
Yeah, we can each take the park that's near our house.
Right.
We can certainly do some research and bring it back. I just wanted to start getting the creative juices flowing, so.
Mr. Bedell, please.
Who checks them in the morning? Or who opens them in the morning?
Troy usually
Troy
does.
does, okay.
Yep.
Because I mean, it's obviously easier to open them, but an automatic lock would be easier to unlock in the morning than it would be at night, so. But we have somebody that's available during the day, so.
Yeah, I'm curious how the vandalism, I don't want to say it, but how that's going to be considering it's getting warmer out now, but kids are in school, and so hopefully it won't get bad, but yeah.
Troy?
Because we had a lot of vandalism there last year, did we not? And
It's like JC's and Gregory get tagged the most.
I think we have to really look at that, and, you know, as much as I feel and have compassion for those who are homeless, and, you know, that's probably not the person who's vandalizing, unfortunately, but because of others, whoever that person or persons are now or maybe in the future, I just, you know, how long can we continue to fund a bunch of dollars that could be used elsewhere for preventable vandalism? The other deal is, you know, for a lot of people, there's trees, so they don't need the bathroom at night.
And holidays, 24 hours.
Exactly. So I think, one, if we knew if we had a general idea of what the cost of the vandalism repair was last year, even just a ballpark, for both of those parks, I think that would make it quite easier for us to make a decision on this.
Isn't that kind of how it all started too? We had somebody trying to break in because they couldn't get in? That's why they left them open?
Yeah, and there was some damage on the outside of the bathroom because they couldn't get in. Well, or it was talked about that was done because they couldn't get in, but I don't know if it was or not, but yeah.
And as a
Please.
point of reference, Mr. Chair, we had a window that was broken out at JC's here the other day. One of the upper windows, they crawled up on the roof. I don't know if it was trying to get in, but they did break one of the windows on the concession stand there, so. I think it's an ongoing issue. No, there's not a fix-all solution, but we can implement some measures to try to mitigate it, I guess.
Sure. Unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be in the conversation again this year, maybe, so. So if I'm hearing the general consensus is we're going to ask staff to see if they can give us some feedback on what our options might be for a live person closing and opening the bathrooms, clearing and opening the bathrooms. Is that right? Do you need a motion, Mr. Sandy?
Oh, thank
Very
you.
good. Anything else on that, guys?
So for now, we're just gonna leave them open at night? Or we're gonna have somebody lock them?
Until the next meeting?
Yes.
Because our next meeting's 3 weeks away, roughly. Do we have any mechanism of which to lock these at night?
Besides a person, that's about it.
Besides who?
What, just a person going around and.
Do we
locking
have
them.
a person that can do it?
Well, they're all hourly, and Troy, you know, we don't actually at this point because we don't have any summer help either, so.
Right.
They're all hourly employees, but
So right now, they're still open every night?
Correct.
24
Yeah.
hours, yeah.
Yep.
I don't believe the softball fields are open, are they?
So there's several of the bathrooms that were winterized,
Right.
Oh, right, okay.
so those are not open.
Right.
And I'm unsure on Gregory Park.
I
For
think it
some
was
reason.
Gregory, Buffalo, there was about 3 or 4, right? That,
I don't
we
think
just-
Buffalo's open.
I don't think Buffalo is it?
No, that would be winterized.
the ones that were winterized, I mean, what,
So they're not open yet?
Right.
Right.
They will be opening soon.
Gregory, I think those bathrooms are locked on the outside right now at Gregory Park. We're just transitioning up from they were unlocked obviously from the inside, going in from the warming house, but I'm not sure if they're unlocked 24/7. We can double check with Troy.
Yep.
so it sounds like they're staying open until we find somebody to lock them.
We'll change it in 3 weeks.
Okay,
Yep.
very good. All right, continuing on. Item number C, discussion of the sesquicentennial event. Katie, please. Is this Katie? No, sorry. Jennifer, oh, I'm sorry. I was looking, I'm looking at the agenda and I should be looking at what Sean has up there for me. Sorry, please, Ms. Bergman.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My apologies for being late. I had an appointment at 3 o'clock that I could not miss, so I see that this was very timely. I walked into the door just as you were getting to it. So Mayor Bedeau and Councilwoman Stenglein actually have volunteered to represent the council in our planning for the sesquicentennial. And so Mary Devine Johnson, also with Visit Brainerd, has done quite a bit of work in trying to help kind of figure out what our sesquicentennial plan could be. When we met, the four of us identified the week of September 18th to the 25th as that sesquicentennial celebration week. And so community members are being asked if they could plan events throughout that week. For example, the chamber is planning a time capsule event. The mayor is planning on doing a proclamation. There are some tours that will be held downtown Brainerd, and I think there's just a lot of discussion going on right now. As well as the Downtown Business Coalition is looking at some kind of opportunity to do like maybe a Crazy Days or a sidewalk sale that week of September 18th. So one of the things that came up when we had our committee meeting was if the park board would be interested also in planning an event during that week. And the thought was that it could be a picnic on that Saturday, the 25th, that kind of wraps up the celebration. So Mayor Bedeau and Councilwoman Stenglein are here too, and I'm sure they could add in addition to what I've said. And I guess I would defer to the two of you if I've missed anything.
Mayor Bedeau, please.
Well, I have a microphone, so I'll start, and then I will defer to Tiffany, because the picnic was her idea. But what we're looking to do is have a couple events throughout the week. Taking this off, excuse me. We know we're not going to keep people's attention throughout the whole week, maybe a couple little things during the week, but on the weekend, starting and ending, we'd like to have something available. The idea of the community picnic was something that would be available for all citizens, and the idea of maybe doing it at Gregory came up. But then we thought, well, why not ask the park board if there's something you guys might want to do, if there's maybe some type of event or some type of activities that could be done during that day, or if we could get some other groups involved. You know, as soon as we start talking parks, that becomes your guys' baby. So, but it was Tiffany's idea, so I'm going to let her talk.
Please, Tiffany.
So we were just talking about ideas, things that we could do. And I brought up the idea of a picnic because I really think we want to have something that, again, as the mayor said, everybody can get involved in, something that families can come out and be a part of. But we're still open to a lot of ideas, and maybe you'll have an even better one. So
Food
don't
truck
feel like we're...
Ganza. Invite all food trucks to our parks,
I have
one
a
set.
question about that.
Yes, awesome. There it is.
Now-
The gauntlet's been set by,
Okay, well, I apologize for jumping French, right?
oh,
Do we have to wait to make any plans yet to find out what we're doing with COVID crap? Because now we can have 50 people at a picnic, right?
I think we're at 10,000 now. Yeah. If we have 10,000 people, like,
Success.
yeah.
Mr. Rushmeyer.
I'm just thinking of the opening of the revised Memorial Park, and what a great, I think we were pushing for September to be the, the completion date, if I remember right, even the 1st of September. And what a great grand opening moment that would be to coincide with what you guys are talking about, to have something, food trucks, I'm sure we could add to that. Having food for any event is a huge plus, so whatever it might be, but I think, to me, I think it's perfect timing to show off our new park.
And I think the group actually mentioned specifically Memorial Park and potentially a ribbon cutting during that week, and then also the trailhead. If there potentially would be any kind of groundbreaking, that maybe that could be done that week. And I think there were other things that were just kind of tossed out there that potentially could be.
Yeah, initially we had thought that maybe during the week we would do groundbreaking for the trail, because that's probably about when that time frame is going to be, I would assume. You don't think so?
From my understanding, with the trailhead work, this whole year will be used on design up until 22 for
Well, we could
construction
put up a
beginning.
big, huge piece of tag board.
We can do that. No, that's
ceremonial
certainly true.
groundbreaking.
It's just-
Coming soon,
Yeah,
coming soon.
Yeah, paper ripping. But the same idea came to mind of having some kind of ribbon cutting or some kind of celebration of Memorial Park, because one of the big things that we're trying to do is incorporate history into the event. So, and it's a great example of, this is the history moving forward. So, but we had not thought of having the actual picnic be involved in that, but it doesn't mean that it couldn't. There's plenty of space over there, so. And if it's done.
Yeah, Troy.
And then on top of that, pegboard, whatever, we could show what is planned on coming and moving forward. We're talking about looking at Lum Park design and some other stuff that are in the works, that the trailhead, that could easily be displayed there as well. I think it's be a great event to get that stuff out to the public. Get them there. And
I think part of the discussion with this group really has been too, that this is Brainerd's celebration. This is for Brainerd residents. And how can we make sure that we're having events that are including our residents, and highlighting our parks, I think, was another big part of the discussion.
Ms. Schaefer, please.
I was gonna say, trying to do something at each park, or obviously like having maybe like the big picnic at Memorial Park, but maybe, highlighting Buffalo Hills if there's something cool that's there that no other park has, or, kids can run around that loop, or, like have something fun at each park. And then I'm just kind of wondering how, if we're gonna take on and plan this, would we have like a subcommittee, or would we be planning it like during each month's meeting? And would you want us to get other groups involved? Or like how, if we picnic, just curious what that means.
We'd be jumping in with your group, right? Is that what we're thinking, Dave and Tiffany?
Yeah, so couple ways you could handle it. You could handle it subcommittee. You could come to us and work with us. The main reason we wanted to ask was that, we mentioned, the Easter egg hunt. We mentioned the pumpkin festival. The idea of having it not just be, there's two things. One, I don't want us to just be pomp and circumstance with everything. I like the idea of getting into the parks and having it be an actual functional thing where people come, maybe they bring their own food, but there's maybe some little activities for them to do. And once we started talking about that, then that becomes a park board question in my mind. So, but how you want to put that together, if you want to group with us, fantastic. We love making plans.
Boil that corn.
I like it. The proclamation, is this a historical recreation?
Of course,
So you should do it in one park every day, a new proclamation every day in one park for 5 days straight.
you will hear the words "whereas" so many times that week. It will just be amazing.
Fantastic.
You gotta bring out the water tower costume.
Yeah, I was like, are you gonna wear a wig and like have big hair and like a?
And I'm just gonna throw this out there, dunk tank for 4 out of 5 of the park board members. I had back surgery, you can't do it.
President,
The
he can't.
Yes.
Well, that'd be great. We have some time on this, I'm assuming, guys, so if we could, maybe we could all put our heads together and come back with any ideas that we have, maybe in the next, when we adjourn to our next meeting, which is roughly 3 weeks away, I think, 2 or 3 weeks away. Maybe we could come back with some ideas too and see if we want to form a subcommittee to work with you guys, or if we, yeah, please.
I was just going to add that the one thing we'd, I think, like to do is on the 25th, September 25th as being the date.
Okay.
Which is a Saturday, and that would be like the official ending to the event.
So 1 day, kind of, perfect. We can do that, right?
If you want to do more, we're not
Yeah.
going to stop you.
Right.
Just be clear.
Okay. About Paul, please.
And then if we're thinking about Memorial Park, that actually is a good thing to have, is we have that date in mind, and we can really push Anderson Brothers to get it done
That'd
by
be great.
then. The biggest thing might be grass, but that's to be determined, so.
Oh, we got, yeah, we have some space over there too at that
Yep.
park too. Just steal the softball field.
We have a big parking lot.
I was kidding, Katie. I said that watching to see if you were going to wince or react whatsoever. What's that? Oh, sorry.
Hey, Tim.
All right, very good. All right, it's on our plate. We'll think about it for sure. Okay. Do we have anybody online that we know of? Okay, so at this time, I will open and close the public forum at 4:42. And we will continue on to the city engineer and rec coordinator reports, please. Who'd like to go first?
So just a quick little report. I've enclosed an update. Our early bird tournament's full. We actually added 2 teams. So 14 teams now, and our payout's gonna be $800 for first place and $400 for second place. So our summer registrations for adult softball, just the numbers next to those different leagues. Some updates with community ed and YMCA contract. So we did a press release out, very well received. We also were on Lakeland News, and that was also very well done. So we're really thankful for Lakeland reaching out and getting us to collaborate on that. And then just that community ed has already opened their registrations for youth sports, and then the YMCA will be opening on April 1st. As far as their quarterly reports and quarterly payments, we'll be handling those in the next week or so. So we'll have those for the next park board meeting. Warming houses, I did enclose just a report for you guys, so you guys can just kind of get a look of what the month of, or well, basically the month that we were open, we were able to serve 1,378 skaters, and that's not including all the skaters that attended outside of warming house hours. This might be helpful moving forward if we want to adjust our hours, but then again, it's during COVID, so might not be as useful, but just so you guys are aware. And then as far as the Easter egg hunt, the current total registered Youths is actually up to 287, so that's awesome. We're almost full, and we're moving forward with that. Concessions, I just enclosed just a little bit of an update with the licensing, so you guys are on the same page that we're gonna fully license Memorial Park, Buffalo Hills, and Bain, and then we'll be licensing a special event license for JC's and using that also for Mills Field when we sell concessions there. And then my last little paragraph is just an update for you guys to keep in mind moving forward, that we are in contract with Viking Coca-Cola up until March 11th, 2022. So just something to keep in mind as we move towards potentially not selling concessions, that we are in a contract with them. So.
And they paid for 4 banners for the field?
Yeah, yep. So every year they paid for 4 banners. Obviously this year we transferred all of those banner contracts an extra year. And then they also gave us $2,500 towards a scoreboard. So they did give us a decent amount of money.
Yeah, please, Kara.
Do you think that we could add to the next meeting, maybe about talking about concessions? I don't know, I know we hired somebody, right? Didn't you hire?
We sent out, like we were looking for employees for concessions, yes.
So
We have not hired
just-
anyone yet.
Okay, sorry, yeah, just so we talk about that, because I know we were like, are we gonna do concessions, are we gonna do them everywhere, are we gonna have it, like, who's gonna run them, that kind of thing? We had left last year, right, like, talking about that, so if maybe we could talk about it next meeting, would that be a good time to talk about it? Good?
I was kind of under the impression we were going to run this this summer as we had in the past, and then we would discuss, if we were to discuss, 2022 on what we were doing with concessions.
Mr. President?
please.
So, Katie, you're talking about rec ball also?
Yeah, that would be including tournaments, yes.
And rec
as well.
ball and tournaments?
Yes.
And we still, I don't know, Katie had contacted me about using a food truck because of that special license, right? For JC's?
Yes, because we're limited to 10 days, having concessions open an extra day on Fridays might push us a little bit, exceeding the 10 days for our tournaments that we're supposed to serve concessions for. So I'm actually in contact with All Fried Up, and they're gonna try and be there on the Fridays. Because most teams that come up, they'll come up for one game on Fridays, and then they'll go out as a team out to dinner somewhere. So if it's worth having concessions open or not, that's
Now, that was just at JC's Park?
JC's, yeah, it was JC's, yep.
I think it's probably something we can just come in with an update about the overall concession plan at the next meeting, just as a.
Yeah, I think clearly this year is going to look a little different than last year. So I think if our conversation is gearing towards a narrative of, okay, what are we going to do with concessions, especially in 2022, the baseline information is going to be critically important this year, just in tracking what we have for staffing costs, well, you know, where our wins and our losses are, and also on the capital side. I know we were talking a little bit about this, Paul, as far as equipment that needed updated, and you know, that's not this year, but is that next year, Paul, or is that part of this year also?
It'll be part of the future planning, you know,
Okay.
if we want to continue having concessions, you know, all of our refrigerators and freezers are 20 years old and they're rusting out and they're just not food safe anymore. So there's
Right.
a lot of issues with that just needs to be talked about. And we need kind of that long-term vision. If we want to continue concessions, it's going to have to be something we think about.
Yeah, exactly. And I know a lot of our narrative on the concessions and our objection to the concessions was that Katie was in and up running the concessions a huge amount of the time. So that's obviously something we would like to not have happen as much as possible. We'd love to have you doing other things. So if we can just keep that in mind, that you know, that's kind of what the mindset was, as Kara brought up this last year, is just some of those discussions. So keep good track of it this year, and we'll hopefully have information to make better decisions next year. Right? Yeah, Troy?
Yeah, and I think we have to be careful in our wording. I think what you're saying is not to have Katie spend a lot of her extra time essentially salary running concession. But I think we have to be careful to say we don't want to run concessions, because again, that's a community thing that a lot of people do value when they attend activities at the park. So I think we have to look at it as how do we best do that, and how do we provide a service or not provide a service based on what we're trying to accomplish.
Right, yeah, thank you for the correction. And that's really, when I said running, physically selling candy bars and is I think what
I thought that's what you meant.
we're hoping to avoid if at all possible. But we realize 100% that some version of concessions is an important part of our rec program, so we.
Yep, I wasn't trying to say get rid of it either. I just was, the Boy Scouts or the whatever, the Lions, you know, that whole thing we talked about. So yeah, we can set it on the shelf until we talk about it again.
Yeah, and I'd just like to publicly say big thanks to Corey and Shane and Katie for the interview and for representing the parks and the park board well in our new program setup. So thank you to those people for doing that. It came off great, so thanks a bunch. All right.
Mine's,
Now we're shifting over to Paul. We got some WSB stuff here, yes?
yeah, mine's pretty quick and simple, so, I don't know if this is on or if working, okay. As you all know, we opened bids here a couple weeks ago for Memorial Park, and we had a special meeting that was awarded to Anderson Brothers. We're currently working on contract signatures, things like that with them, and we'll be bringing something back here at the meeting in April, I'm assuming, about some value engineering stuff for the alternate that we chose not to award at this time. You guys should have all received an invite from me just a couple of minutes ago before the meeting with scheduling our first design standard kickoff meeting for April 13th from 4 to 6 p.m. at right here in this room. So that'll be scheduled then, and we'll have to adjourn to that meeting tonight.
Tuesday, I believe, too, right? Off the top of my
Yep.
head.
Tuesday, April 13th.
Yep. As part of the report, as we have in the past, had Troy assemble kind of a maintenance list that's been done in the past month to kind of give you an idea of what we've been working on here in the spring season. Received a call from Emily with the Splash Pad Committee. They are getting extremely close to their $100,000 goal, which is awesome. We were working with the splash pad supplier for a while there to try to get a revised quote to maybe remove one of the pieces of equipment so they could make the splash pad work. But now it sounds like it's 100% go with all the equipment they had originally planned, and it's looking really good from a cost, and we're working with contractors on getting in-kind items and bricks and pavers and all kinds of stuff. So it's going to be a really cool community project once it's all said and done. And hopefully done that same date on September 25th, so we can grand open the whole thing. Even though I don't know how many kids will be out on the splash pad on September 25th.
I'll be there.
Emily did make a request that we turn it on, and I said I make no promises.
Last thing from me is we officially turned over the keys to Mill Park to the Brainerd Industrial Center owner, Mike Higgins. The lease was up on March 1st, and so those keys are officially in his hands, and we've removed all of our belongings out of that park. I did talk to Troy a little bit about the old boards and everything, and he's really under the opinion that none of that is worth salvaging. They're just in such a rough condition that he's just like, I wouldn't even worry about salvaging any of that. So that's where that kind of stands, so I can answer any questions if you guys have them.
I just had a quick question. According to Katie's report, on the Coca-Cola sign we had at Mills, at Mills, is that gonna go in another park, or are we gonna have two of them in?
Because we have the four at the four adult fields, right? So the one that, if it's still intact, unfortunately the Viking Coca-Cola signs typically rip for some reason, of how they're constructed. But on their fourth field, they could choose whichever field they want in our park system. So that's fine.
Yeah, please, Kara.
About the splash pad and then about Memorial Park, do you think that we can have a groundbreaking thing? cutting, well, we wouldn't cut anything yet.
It'd be the golden shovel with the.
Yeah, the shovel.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that's something we could definitely set up. We're gonna have a pre-construction meeting with Anderson Brothers to see when they're gonna officially start, and it would be kind of fun to even have like a
Always like to
backhoe,
have pictures
a
of the
backhoe
mayor
out there
doing
or
something
something
like
to
that.
actually
The
take
mayor.
the first.
Yeah. In a swimsuit.
We could throw the mayor into a
And
bulldozer.
tassels.
A little
I only
Speedo.
use the old timey swimsuits, so.
That'll work.
The old
So on, for the record, we're gonna have the mayor in an old-timey swimsuit at the opening. So
body,
make sure we
is
get
that what
that.
you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, funny.
It'll be a rip-off, and it'll be a Speedo underneath.
Yeah, the kind that you may or may not be weighted down by.
I think that Emily, I think the splash pad, or Emily would appreciate that too, you know, just kind of making a big deal about
Yep.
that and then.
So I'll have something at the April 13th meeting that we're gonna adjourn to, just with a quick update on when we plan on construction starting, so we can get out there beforehand.
And I think it'd be fine to have you guys reach out to Emily and Meta and see what they'd like to see for an opening too, and have it ready for us on the 13th also for what we could do as a group.
I think they had
Awesome.
a $10,000 weekend for donations.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, I just talked to them. They were taking a picture out in front of the sign. They said they were two grand, 2,500 apart. So they're almost done.
Nice.
Dave?
Yeah, I had just met with them right before coming in here and, for a Brainerd Community Action, and, they had just crossed the 10,000 on their GoFundMe page. It's going really good. And that's, for them, you know, I know that you're on a 5-year journey, you get to that last year and it really starts to weigh you down. And as I kept telling them, it's just, you can see the end of the tunnel, and as soon as you can see the end of the tunnel, other people will see it as well. And that's really where they're at, and it's been fantastic. So they're gonna continue to try and take in as much funds as they can get, even moving past, because, you know, we're always gonna need some type of stuff there, whether it's another picnic table or something. So this is a long-term vision for them, but they are very excited, so.
Yeah,
they wanted
congrats to them.
Yeah, they
Congrats
want
to
to
Splash Pad, for
pass
sure.
that on to you guys as well.
Excellent. Yeah, Troy?
Are you done, Paul?
Yep.
I just have one thing, if I may.
Yep.
Just, Katie, on that food truck deal, if you think Fridays are a loss to open up at Bain and J.C.'s for that short amount of time, that if you're not gonna sell enough to even have, I think the association would be more than willing to say, if a food truck wants to come in there on a Friday at both of those fields, you know, I think if that makes things easier, and you're not gonna lose money by having someone stand around, we don't typically sell a lot of stuff on those days, we would be perfectly fine with that. If you wanted to do that at both fields.
Okay.
Awesome.
On the food truck note, is that policed at all?
Yes, it's, the food truck is, the food trucks are a conversation that's happening now within the city. It's going in front of the planning commission, in front of their next meeting. It's on their agenda, so yes, they are. Yep, they're policed not only by the city, but also by the state, so.
Well, the reason I ask is because I know a couple weeks ago, where there was a Facebook Live thing put together, advertising thing that kept showing up on my stupid feed for some sort of a Apple Danish thing or whatever, Ace Heart. And I'm like, don't forget your permit. They responded back like they were gonna get a permit, so I don't think they're not, but.
We
How do
could ask,
we know
we could
how
ask
they
Mr.
go?
Chansky, but I hope, they had a line out the door, literally for 5 hours straight.
They're huge.
Do you know where that was, Tim?
Ace Hardware,
Hardware.
'Cause they do have to purchase a permit.
yes.
Yeah.
That's what I say, is how do they know that they can?
There's an application currently on the city website for food trucks, and that's something, again, that the planning commission is looking at as far as a yearly application, adding on the parks for an additional fee, a special permit for the parks, but that's all something that's currently getting looked at and coming up in the next meeting. So
So as a little chubby park board guy, do I drive by and say, hey, you got your permit? Can I check your permit? Or do we just not just worry about not? They must have done something else.
go for it. You do
I don't wish
you,
to.
baby.
They might give me a free Danish, that's all I about.
In fact, if you want to go there and say, I'm on the park board and we're supposed to get a free Danish, you do you, Tim.
You didn't get their 8 copy, did you?
Right.
You're gonna be shaking people down for donuts.
Just say you're with the city council.
Come on, I used to work at the press in St. Cloud.
I have a shirt that says, I know Dave Bedeau, and you'd be amazed at the doors that are opened.
Correct.
Just,
I know nothing about that.
All right, anything else? Anybody? Staff comments, board comments, anything? All right, we will be adjourning to the April 13th, 4 o'clock meeting here in these chambers then, so I'll be looking for a motion for that.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Parks and a second by Mr. Boder.
Oh, because I was sure.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. See you on the